from yesterday, but no, it is just these two creating their own mental and creating their own meta.
Queasy and Veno, you guys are different. I actually don't know how to comprehend what they've just done. Game number 1 of day 2, absolutely no nerves. I saw on social media yesterday, Veno was saying he was a little bit tired. He was tired after day 1, rightfully so. 4 victory royales is not an easy feat. And of course, now, making it 5 on day 2, it's incredible.
Yeah, see, you're bringing up socials. I'm trying to think back to some of those tweets that we've been seeing Veno posting about Tayson as well, and it's like, the threats aren't necessarily working as well. I don't think it's hitting Veno's mental in the slightest. Granted, it's all like, good fun.
Morning.
I'm sure, since these teams tend to have a lot of respect for each other.
How are you
but
this morning?
It is just insane to think that they seem to be working as a motivation factor.
Yeah. We came into this
I don't
knowing
know
full well
if
they
you
wanted to make
guys
a
are
statement.
watching
They've done
the
exactly that already, and
he
there's still
is,
5
but
games to go. Let's
I
take
felt
a
like
look
watching
at
it
our
this morning.
standings, see
I just got
exactly
up.
how the land lies after game number 7 here. This is how it currently holds up for us. You can see here, what a surprise. Queasy and Veno remaining at the top there, 551 points. I mean, Taco, this is unprecedented.
Yeah, 109 points in a single match here in Game 7. And if you're Mustache and Tayson, yeah, you moved up 2 slots in the leaderboard. You're sitting at 353, but it's definitely going to be quite the battle.
How about the FSCs?
Closing the gap, maybe not so much, but for Mustache and Tayson, you can't appreciate the fact that they're still sticking to their own element.
Yeah, really solid game from these guys. At the beginning of the show, I was mentioning how those south zones might have had a little bit of a difficult impact on their gameplay, but this, another south zone rotating from the northern side of the map, so they've just answered all those questions. They've been hitting the VODs clearly.
Do you follow the
FSCs, good performance in game number 1.
We're seeing many of the usual suspects getting into the end game, which is what we expect here right now. I mean, these are the top 10 right now in the leaderboard, in grand finals, in the region. I mean, you expect to see so many of the names here. They all are here to take part. You can see it's starting to move up the leaderboard.
Do you follow the
FNCS? I drop a map there. 12 places up in one game. I mean, Tackle, we're starting to see this shift now, as we always do on day 2 of finals, where teams from different parts of the leaderboard really can propel themselves upwards into a contention place for these global championship places.
Yeah, and I mean, we're talking about teams that just continue to keep trying to play leapfrog here in the leaderboard. Malabuka, Thomas, again, they make it through into a match. They get to have an impact as a duo.
I just wanted to see how the Europe was
strong
going.
form there from Thomas at the end with the solo clutch impact.
Yeah,
I think the US just finished this.
They actually had no materials on those mid-ground layers, but they didn't drop down. So many teams there would drop all the way down to low ground, and because of the nature of the zone over that water, so many teams just battling it out down on low with no materials or no resources. The way that they played this in mid-game was so in the mid-ground, sorry, was so perfect, and Thomas HD really clutched up there at the end.
Yeah, he really did. Look at the rest of the leaderboard here as well. We can start to see eliminations as well now. We focus on these quite a lot. We're starting to see a lot of teams or duos starting to kind of rise in their numbers. Their digits there are starting to really total up. And we can see Queasy on 39 now. We talked about Blacker and Mixing yesterday with 33, but other teams as well are starting to get into the 20s and such now. So we're seeing a lot of aggressive Fortnite to a degree because we're starting to get a lot of them and starting to rack up those points, which are worth so much in this competition.
Yeah, so many of the teams would have looked back at the VODs from yesterday and think about how can we improve? How can we change up our game plan? Because for a lot of teams yesterday, they were running out of steam. They were running out of materials going into those later zones. So they're going to try and fix those issues, be a little bit more aggressive because it's now or never. You don't have a day 3, you don't have a day 4. This is day 2. It's now or never.
Yeah, and I can't say it comes as much of a surprise to see teams in this top 10 with some of the highest elimination counts throughout because of the fact that we're seeing so much congestion actually building up. We touched on it at the top of the show as well, where teams that are kind of forced to all be in the same surface area. I mean, there's only so many places you can go, so we're seeing a lot of these elims, I think, taking place in like 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th zones.
Yeah, we really are. I mean, this competition as well was all about celebrating the new talent coming through as well. Really aspiring teams like Pixie and Dela in the EU. Really exciting to watch. You're not in the top 10, but still really making a statement here to say we are here, we are ready for FNCS, and we are definitely contenders for the future.
Yeah, this is a top team, and we saw them popping off last major as well, landing, of course, at
Bay.
It's no different again. They're popping off once again in this game, doing pretty good. Not quite in our top 10 so far, but if they can continue this momentum, continue this good form, they should be able to get into that top 10.
And something else that I like about Pixie and Dela, granted, they didn't get a chance to exhibit it here in Game 7, given the way that Queasy and Veno chopped out Jalen Twy on height and then overtook it themselves, but Pixie and Dela are a team that we have seen making efforts to try and overtake high ground.
Yes, that high ground is so lucrative, isn't it? We've seen the low ground and mid ground plays are one thing, but I think at this point, Queasy and Veno seem unstoppable on the high ground. I mean, Mini, Does anyone dare challenge them at this point?
Well, Jalen Swy tried, and look at how it ended up for them. Not so great. I mean, they ended up clutching up the third
I think
place.
the US just finished theirs,
starting the day a lot better than they finished it yesterday. They didn't quite have the best day. So they're trying. People are trying to get up, and I think it just highlights how good Queasy and Venno are, because Jalen and Swy held onto that hype for so long. They just thought, you know, we'll just chop it down. We'll go on top, and they had the mats for it.
Absolutely right. All right, there you heard it. Game 7 is done. We now move on to our next one. But what is going to happen in this? Can Queasy and Venno continue this record-breaking performance? We'll have to wait and see. Can they get another victory royale? We're going to hop back in to the next game and see exactly what happens next in this exciting story that keeps delivering the goods. It's time for game number 8.
Another day, another Queasy Venno win, but on the other side of the coin, top 5 still up for grabs for the Global Championships later this fall.
Yeah, and it's very, very important, right? You don't want to miss out on a chance to play at the Global Championships, the biggest and best competition in Fortnite, and still so many of these top EU teams in contention for it.
And they're looking really good in that first game of day 2 now. The biggest thing that I'm seeing so far is Surge seems harder. The games seem faster, and off-spawn is even more dire for a bunch of these teams. So let's jump in to the second game of the day, game number 8, and see what these guys got.
Yeah, I think if you are anybody in this lobby, you just have to ignore the winning team. Ignore it. It's going to be them, right? You know, I asked Queasy, I said, yo,
where would you drop, Mimi?
He said, yeah, I don't want
What's
just
your
one.
drop spot?
Not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5. I want all 6.
Oh, man. If that happens, I don't know what I'm going to be doing at game 4 or 5. The way the commentary goes, we shall see. I mean, the big thing to note is how far these guys are compared to everyone else. When it comes to endgame, it kind of is very, you know, representative. They're so far up in the sky, everyone else down below. Cool to see. New beginnings for Thomas HD and Malabuka too.
Nice.
I mean, they had a chance to play that last game. They got a lot of points. They're up on the boards. They're trying to move up 8th place in total now. I feel like this is the team to watch if you want to have that comeback hero story.
Yeah, and they're not far off it, like you mentioned. I think the big thing for them this game, the difference maker, will be if they can claim the Rift Island.
Yeah.
If they can get those post rifles, there's no reason why they can't be a team that, you know, challenges for that top 5. And funnily enough, when I actually spoke to Vino last week about how FNCS is going to go, he actually said to me, he thought if Thomas and Malabuka got post rifles every game, they win. And that's coming from the guys that just won 5 in a row, or 4 in a row. Right?
What are the games they haven't won, though, right? I mean, that's one of the questions you have to ask. One of them was Thomas and Malabuka having those pulse rifles.
Yeah, because when they get them, they are just so dominant, so dominant. And so we'll have to follow that, right? They obviously were allowed to play out the game last game, and now that they're not contested, we'll get to see them more often in these games. But it is just all about whether or not they get that Rift Island, whether or not they can claim pulse rifles.
For other teams, win conditions not as surprising or appearing on the map in terms of the shape of an island that offers you weapons. Fastaroki Hydro, I feel like it's tempering aggression. They're in so many scrappy fights. They're getting a lot of their surge from these box fights, but I feel like they need to slow down just a little bit, as well as all the other Mega City teams, to actually think about how they're getting surge.
Yeah, because it's very formulaic how you do it, but again, the actual execution of it can be tough sometimes. It comes down to hitting key shots. Ping and Kyrie right now in a battle here.
Ooh.
It isn't too easy
shot.
to win, and it started off with Ping going down at the hands of Reason. Now Reason's gone down at the hands of Kyrie, and so it's up to Janice to finish this one off.
It's going to be tough for Janice. I feel like Kyrie looks really strong in this one. So many builds at the same time as the firepower and the shields and position. This has to be something he must chase down. Through the trees, the foliage, he finds the box and actually gets the replace. No floor for Janice yet, but finally comes in. Kyrie has to find a way to not give Janice this much room, and he must have forgotten about the wall.
Jeez.
That's tough. Really nicely done there from Kiri, just putting that pressure on, but unfortunately Flodax and Kiro are running right in. And so this will probably be the last we see of Kiri in this game. A 1v2 here might just be too much for him to handle. Kiro and Flodax with the classic Battle Royale third-party situation.
Oh shit, these two had different skins.
Sweeping in, cleaning up.
You have to assume the way he was feeling himself at the end there, he's probably just like, wait, Wait.
Please.
I'm not ready.
Wait.
It's all good. Not many people get a chance to even run away sometimes in these fights. This Lonely Labs one, I feel like now 8 out of 8 games, always Howley and Altensi up against Gabix. Usually Gabix gets to escape, but this time they're locked into this box fight.
Yeah, and there were times in the qualifiers where Altensi and Howley looked pretty decent. I thought, hey, I wonder what these guys can do. And so even if Gabix and Shmeki are the ones who come out on top of this fight more often than not, I don't think you can sort of look at either one and rule it out and say it's, you know, too one-sided in terms of who's doing what. Overall, Shmeki and Gabix were a more experienced team for sure, and so you'd like to think that they would be the ones that sort of set the pace here. But right now, Howley and Altensi controlling space, claiming pieces, trying to find the right pinch situation. The key right now for Gabix and Shmeki would be to just try and isolate a 2v1, right? Try catch one of them out, a cheeky little edit, somebody holding their shotgun out ready to shoot. It's that kind of coordination that's going to go a long way. Of course, so you can see here in the distance, Gold and Anqua, this is their surge plan. They know these two are fighting here at Lonely Labs. They know this is a free opportunity for us to get shots in, get damage in, maybe even third party and completely clean up the fight ourselves.
Gonna try for it. It's so tricky to try to get any type of meaningful edits in this type of hanger fight. Even the third party, it's so blocked from the outside. Shmeki finally comes up top. But that's where Gold strikes, built up so high.
Good shots.
Sending shot after shot. He doesn't need eliminations here. The key here is just to do damage, but he gets Shmeki down on the backside as he tries to fall.
Secure the kill, my guy. Secure the kill.
The freshly built pyramids of metal below and pinpoints where Howley is. A little bit of a breath and he just might fall, and Gabix is also trying to fight him at the same time. So many matches running low, and Gold desperate for a few shots. Will try to land some, but Howley jumped up, mantled out, will escape a layer up. Not sure Gold knows how low Howley actually is, and doesn't want to invest too much and be caught out. Have to remember there are 3 different teams fighting here. Have to make sure that him and Anchor are at least looking at the same people at the same time.
Yeah, trust me, if they did know how low, they would have ran straight in, because everybody is so low except for them. And this is the most ideal situation for them, where they have the potential to pick up both players on both teams. That's maximum pointage, right? That's what, about 16 points or something?
Yeah.
Like maths, 4 times 4, let's go.
Let's go, they too were good.
I can do some maths. Like, this is so ideal for Gold and Anchor, but they need to try and pick up this other one. Yeah, okay, so that one will come through. Shmeki down. There's 2 elims now for Gold. Will they pick up the remaining solo players on both sides?
A quick quiz, how do you turn these 16 potential points into even more? It's a very ratty strat, but I've seen it happen before. Let these guys reboot. Leave them alive, wait, and come back for even more. I don't think Gold's gonna do just that. Gabix is running away slightly. One thing they can do that's not their usual.
You can't see him.
Go how?
He was right there in the zone. You couldn't see him. Gold.
Oh, he's running.
Oh, Tenzi's was there. Oh, he just looked away at the wrong time. Yeah, he's boxing. Okay, he saw him.
Ooh,
2 headshots as well there. They might just start blading towards him just to finish it off.
They have the time, yeah, Gold will go. Zone's never this close to them, so they really look to just keep pushing and fighting. Have to move southwest so many times. This time, one of the first games we're seeing in the north in the day. And just like that, 3 eliminations out of 4.
So that's 12 out of the 16 points they could have got. I think the problem for them, though, is that Gabix just got way too far away. I don't think they'll be able to get him. He's gone way up north into the zone. And so it might just be 12 out of 16 they have to settle for, which is very good.
Really good.
Because in most situations, they don't get any points. They just get some damage done, which is fine in most instances. So I'm sure they'll be happy about how this game has gone for them so far.
One thing I never considered when I looked at people third partying and getting eliminations is sometimes, even though it's good for points, it hinders your overall placement. I'm wondering how low those players actually were. Came into Howley at like 40 HP. They might need to have a lot more damage and find even more fights. I might be feeling comfortable with 3 eliminations, but there's not that much damage. Looking back over at the Kings. In paradise.
And this is interesting, right? Because obviously this is now a game where there's not going to be a south zone. And so I'm sure there'll be a lot of people maybe who
very lucky to find that fish though.
You know, how could you not be fans? But anyway, let's say you're not a fan of them. Let's say you're a hater, you're a doubter, and you're thinking, yeah, they're only doing good because they pull every zone. I'm not going to lie. I think on some far zones, they're actually better than when they pull zone.
They can find that side faster, I feel like.
And they make plays like this where they just completely tank through the south side, come up. They have to be careful because there will be players as they come out of zone that they have to sort of worry about, but they are incredibly good at just forcing their way through, finding refarms as well. Like, this is just their bread and butter.
I feel like the Kinetic Blade is the perfect rotation item out of all the ones that could even exist for this team. It just gives them the flexibility to move, edit the ways you go towards zone, introduce the fights. That being said, though, there's so many different teams around the map. Taste and Mustache being one of them. What's going on with them to cut?
What I love about this duo is they have it all. The chemistry, the comms, the efficiency. In the early game, Tayson and Mustache do land on the north side of Slappy Shores, but they split. You can see Tayson is on the west side, outside of the city, while Mustache is still inside looting, but also getting tags, which allows them to pinch their opponents and open up more LOS on their opponents surrounding them to maximize that efficiency when getting tags, but also when looting.
I think one of the bigger narratives as we head towards globals, especially when it comes to Tayson and Mustache, is whether or not Tayson is actually going to be able to just mentally stay in it. Historically, right, we've seen him get very bored of his teammates very quickly. And I think them winning FNCS
There's
last
2 more
major
matches
and
after this
locking
chat,
him into
you know what I
playing
mean?
with Mustache all year long is a huge deal in terms of them actually
There's
being
2
able
more.
to, you know, sort of battle through the year and Tayson having to sort of stay on good terms with his teammate, which is
Man,
sounds
Europe,
crazy, but
the
that
way they
is,
play is a little
you know,
bit
been a
different
trend with
too.
him. He's had so many different teammates.
All
over
these
his
players are
amazing
always
career.
looking to shoot someone.
But right now, things with them two are good, right? Like Takata said, the chemistry is there. They're on the same page a lot of the time. And so regardless of how this FNCS goes, I think things are looking on the up for them going into the Global Championships. A replay here of Refsguard and Hellfire. They look to pick up Hydro into Stroky. Juriki in the midst of a fight. This is, again, a different challenge for them. We talk about the challenge for Queens and Dino. This is a challenge for all these mega city teams. Who
I don't know
haven't
if
really had to
anyone,
move that far throughout these first 7 games.
Anyone
This time round,
seen
Juriki feels the
Brazil
balance of having to travel
play?
across the whole side of the map.
It's new territory for these guys and a bunch of the teams that are rocking in through Mega City. I was right, though. So many stories and so many teammates who have played with each other in the past now in new situations against Titans up in J2 and EU. Lots of eliminations across the board. Yeah, for Juriki and for Doxy, I think they've been a team that is very reliant to actually see what the next challenge is in front of them and try to overcome it. When it comes to paving their own path, when it comes to moments like this where
Hey, what's up,
zone
Ray?
goes
Good
so
morning,
far
man.
away from potential obvious objectives like people who are boxed up, fights you can easily have.
Just watching the Europe
That's where they
players
falter. Analex Deox are a team
play
that
their
are
FNCS,
good
man.
at playing that objective-based gameplay, go for
Really
that next
aggressive.
box, find that next hill, but at the same time, very good at adapting when the zone pulls in new and weird ways.
They're quite aggressive, man.
A little bit north of the slabs now, and they've already picked up the cash. A little bit of a fight too. 3
I
wins in
love
total.
it. I love
This
it,
team in
right?
specific, when it comes to their journey this season, looks strong in some of their best games overall. In complete control. Getting to that point of control, though, has been a little bit troublesome. It's come in the form of Surge. It's come in the form of some issues off spawn. Not a free season for that team, indeed. And day 1 for Kemi and Seti 100% defied a lot of the expectations some people were putting on them. Hey, this might not be their season.
Not yet,
Everything's
bro.
more Elam focused. This is a team that's really good at getting those eliminations when it comes to.
I'm a James on Fortnite soon, though.
It was an Elam heavy format, and they really did very well.
I have my eyes on this stuff.
I like watching
Stay
this, bro. I love
True.
it.
There's no
Yo,
other
Riz, good
place
morning,
to
man.
set you
Hey, I
down.
fell asleep yesterday. Yeah, man, that's all
Especially
good,
how
bro.
good Kami and Seti have been over the course.
Hey,
of
Ray,
this
did you know
weekend
Reese
up
won
to
last
the
week?
And even if they aren't
He
looking
won
at
a
first
spin
place
last
and
week.
thinking
We got
they can
another one
grab that,
coming
they
up
need
next
to
week.
hold on
Maybe
to
this
top
week.
5. This is a team that
I need to sort it out with Beth.
the Invitational last year. They're going to want to go
We'll
to
do another
globals and show,
giveaway
hey,
for you
look,
guys.
When it comes to in-person competition in Fortnite, we are them guys. We are them ones. And if they need to do that, if they are going to do that,
I'll discuss it with
has to
her
be top
later
5.
on.
Obviously, they're sitting in 3rd place. They can't afford for it to slip.
Ooh.
Just want to give
So
back
this
to you
isn't
guys,
good.
you know?
Kami, the zone pushing against his back, players holding him. Fortunately for him, right, there's a bunch of trees here that you can sort of use as line of sight.
Have you guys
But as
ever
I say
watched
that,
the
this player's
Europe
in the zone taking shots at him.
Fortnite?
You can't catch a break.
There's 3 people, 11, and they're not happy. No moving in this forest for free. Kami's looking for
They're
a few
really
shots,
quite
but
aggressive, man.
a bit too obvious, it looks like, on the play for the people who are up on that hill. They can see this one coming. That team way back in zone is not
Man, my
moving.
boy
So
needs some
waiting
whites, bro.
for
You better get out of there.
Kami to make the next dash. He does to the right. Has to protect himself from all sides. He has the match.
I think the
too.
best thing is to get
Last
ahead
50
of the
pot here. This is
storm.
This is just shambles.
Yeah.
One team in front of him as well. As
He needs to rotate hard out.
This is going to be tough for Cammy. 68 HP in total to work with, including his shield. And zone still
I used to
coming in.
stream like that. I used to stream that way. Not anymore.
Pivotal and close timer. Has to move up a hill too.
I used to.
Tough for Cammy.
Yeah, so tough for Cammy, right? This is a guy who
But
works
not anymore,
incredibly
though.
hard and is incredibly confident in his own ability as a player.
Sold it, Ray. I sold it, Ray.
No matter how good of a player you are, this is one of the most difficult spots you can be in, especially in this lobby. We've been talking about how difficult it is to play. iDrop and Mappy, we saw them deep in last game. And I'll be honest, they are another one of those teams that could potentially sneak their way into the top 5.
I
right?
sold it.
In the top 10 currently.
I sold the
And they're on
equipment,
the rise.
everything.
They have the pulse rifles. iDrop and Mappy
So I can buy more
might
stuff for
just
my PC.
have something for us towards the back end of today.
I hope so. A lot of the times when I see this duo, they get a lot of points in games
Is that
where they
you
look
right
like
up
they're
there?
about to leave the server at any moment. In these games where they have
Camping there,
power,
high ground
pulse
race.
rifles,
That's
good
cheap.
positions.
Is that your
I feel
play
like the
style?
pressure of that, the expectation to do well off these items, it might just trip them up a little bit more so than not. Meanwhile, the fight we're watching here, Pablo Wingo Bevies. Another issue that we saw from yesterday is just the overindulgence in fighting and getting so close to so many other players.
How's the quality?
How they
Is
get
the
surged,
quality
but
good?
So dangerous to go all in some of these. Pablo Wingo now down.
Yeah, it's so risky, right? When you look at the best teams in the world, one of the key factors in a game is that they just don't put themselves in 50-50 situations.
Yeah.
Right? They always want to be in a situation where they have some sort of advantage. And I think too often we've seen at times Bevies and Pablo Wingo putting themselves in situations not only that are 50-50s, but where they're just at a disadvantage and they're having to fight out of that.
It's that gambler's mentality. I mean, there was a season where those 50-50s over and over again 7 times worked. And they were the stars of the show, so just trying to chase that through. Now, something uncharacteristic I'm looking at is Thomas Eugene Malabuka live on screen, dope, down on Surge, just 4 above. I never see them this low.
Yeah, and you know, you think to yourself, this is probably the team with the most firepower in all of Fortnite.
Yeah.
How could they ever be down on Surge? They've put themselves above now. And look, we've been in moments before in many FNCS Grand Finals where Thomas HD is down on Surge and he just hits a bunch of shots to put them above. In this case, it was Malabuka that was able to deal the damage.
I think the best move would be like to get
put
ahead
them
of the storm,
afloat.
huh?
The problem is, right, another game where they don't have the pulse rifles, right? That's been the key factor for them doing well. And so another game where they're going to have to either make it to an end game.
See, they're always
or it
taking
might
shots
end up
no
being a
matter
solo
what.
clutch like we saw last time.
That's what I noticed with the
Pulse
Europe.
rifles on high ground are kind of the only lock and key
For
stopping
players?
Queasy and Vino from just raining control of the skies. Cammy still alone, somehow has survived all the way in and has items. How did this happen?
Oh,
Was
damn,
Bevies
you
he
guys
picked up,
just
and
missed
that's
out
a
on that,
lot
bro.
to work with. Slurps everything all the way in Anvil Square. This is going to be a super clutch for this team.
Yeah, I was talking about how difficult it'd be for him. Bevies has handed him a gift, well above on Surge, and has everything in his arsenal to
So you
actually
can get
have
better
a
at the
big game
game?
it.
Last time we saw
It
was
depends,
68 total HP with 100 mats.
I think try and get better with build mode first. Oh, no, you don't have to anymore now. No, squash that. Yeah, it's just aim, really. Play no builds, honest.
Both teams who tuned
Nothing
in
wrong with no
they're a
builds.
little bit lower on Surge, so Thomas and Steve Malabuka are going straight for it. It's decided reboot ban, so they know that Cammy might just stay and wait to try to get Seti back up.
The best thing, honestly, we
They know
should
it's a
just get
solo.
confident.
Everyone diving for the wrist as well.
Confidence
That's
is the
exactly what
best.
Thomas and Malabuka might have done as well.
It's the best
Get all
advice.
the way
Just
away,
be
and now
confident.
Cammy's stuck here.
Thomas and Malabuka are so scary. Did you see the way he
Practice
just
your aim.
Both players going on different sides. There was Malabuka in front, Thomas from behind. They tried to smush him in, but barely getting out of the way, Cammy, and now able to use this rift to get.
That's
into
why I
the
like
lane.
watching these. I just want to know what their strategy is, how they play, how pro players play.
Take a shot at him. He's flying over the trees. I think he probably wants to dive down and use them as cover at some point. But now actually in the zone completely. This is where it pulls. This is perfect for it.
Everyone down below suddenly stops looking at the sky and makes sure their bases are fully full. He gets a free ride in from the clouds, and this might be the strat. Okay, never mind. I thought
Tree.
we were gonna see Cammy
The
in the trees
tree.
again.
Hey, look, if it was a zero build tournament, then I guarantee you he would have stayed in that bush, but not
So
here,
they're
not
always
yet.
using 2 layers. Okay.
Yeah, so much to work with. Meanwhile, Queasy Vino. Although this is not the south side, they pulled the zone.
Yeah, and this is just easy for them, right? This is how the zone that opened up, and so they're here, nice and free, and they have access to that.
Always
next zone
taking
really easy.
shots, bro.
That's
what I noticed about Europe. They're always taking shots, no matter what.
Side. And so once zone 7 opens up, they'll be able to just blade on in pretty freely as well.
See the dominance of Vino as well. That quick step
Not
was
too
just on
high.
screen. This man
They want to take
more
full
elims
damage.
than most teams that are playing here. More than 47 of the teams. There's only 2 others with
here
over
we go.
30. Him as an individual has been so good today, and it's because of Queasy's
Damn, he
leadership,
just hit
because
the
of their
big tree on the
positioning overall as well, over and over again. They're making everyone have such a hard time coming in Floki, trying their best to make the best out of a bad spot. And they have a few teams they can fight with left and right, but they will be that first line that stops anyone else from getting into the zone. There's so many teams that want to on the right side, just flying in over top with some kinetic blades.
Look, zone's starting to open up, right? That 7th zone is
Maybe a
starting to,
window would have been better.
you know,
That
leave
was too
space,
wide
but
open.
a team like Kemet and Floki, they can't just start thinking about let's get into that space. They have to think about dealing damage, taking fights, because they're down on Surge, and Floki's really down on HP now. That med miss is going to have to be used fully, as well as the minis. Barely above.
Gotta make every shot count above them. PKR, Link having trouble with Irazumi. Coming in Floki, all those is the same spot. They can't really just find anyone over here. It's so hard to find any type of free shot out of any of these walls. And now they have to move even further to the absolute opposite point of the server. They've got to move over 150 meters. This is going to be tough for the duo. They have those kinetic blades, but they need to find the damage and move at the same time.
Yeah, the good thing is, right, obviously the purple blades give them the extra charge. They'll probably go for zone.
These are pro players, by the way, Reese.
Again,
These are pro players, my guy.
Go down below on Surge. They need to start thinking about dealing damage.
Spots are being taken. People are
I
moving
know,
right
right?
out of time. Coming in Floki, you need to find out what's next for them here.
It's not even supposed to really take shots. They need to just get into zone and start fighting something realistically.
It's about to get down, my guy. It's about to get down. Watch this.
There it is.
Here we go.
And they do base in, but
He's in. Now
this
he's
is
going to
it.
have
Last
to
2
take
minutes
big
for Clement.
shots.
Barely keeps him above. Just shield threshold. And he's going to open up and take a few shots back. It'll be up against Vino right now who's shooting him. Vegas is on the backside.
Ooh.
They're trying to get up, but
Ooh, he got caught by the lobby.
Stacy 2 seconds to look at you. And you
Kill
go
the
down.
kill.
Blading from the congested side of the zone is always risky business, especially if you're going in a straight line. Players just have that vision of you pretty easily. Zara and
Oh
Zaggy
man, they're getting lobbied now.
down to just one
Holy.
kill, can't even protect themselves from this lobby spray.
No.
And look who's there to clean up the loot. Look who's there getting taken out.
Oh my
After
God,
picking up
right,
the loot,
Reese?
Irazumi.
Yeah, man, look at this, look at this. Oh, you're gonna have to build your heart out, my guy. Ooh, ran out of man.
Of his teammate.
A sliver of a moment where there are
Somebody
no
get
builds,
up.
and you're
Oh
losing
yeah,
all
these
your
guys are going
HP.
up already.
Down for
Yeah.
1 second on
It's the
surge
best
damage,
play
and
right
you
here
are
for
gone
Insickle,
as a
guys.
duo. The difficulty of this lobby, of this day, of this region, just seems to be
Go
increasing
up,
every single
go high.
game. And in terms
shoot
of this
down
one,
at everybody.
for the end game here at Breakwater Bay, it's going to be
Can't
even
keep
tougher
up
for all
with
these teams. You
what's
can see
going on.
Mid
Yeah,
Ground
man.
shooting at each
Hell
other.
yeah.
High ground has pulse rifles, and now they finally make themselves known.
And it's not something we've seen often, right? We know how powerful the post
how you live, Jay.
but we
Look
rarely
at
get to
that.
see them on height. And one
Yeah,
thing
see,
you do
everyone's trying to
guarantee
get
when you
ahead
see
of
them
the,
on height is that they
storm.
absolutely melt every single player that's trying to kinetic blade through. And so now it's up to iDrop and Matt to do that.
One player, though, that's defied all odds this game, Cammy, on your screen.
Yeah, I wish I was
Below
good
Surge
with the
again.
retard.
He's in a
I'm not
solo
good with the
for
retard,
last
guys.
3 zones, and he's holding on to his top 5 spot in this game. The longer he lives, the better chances he has to make this an absolutely glorious tournament for him and Seti. Moving forward, dodging the pulse rifle beams right underneath them, in front of their
Oh, why
faces.
did he
He
come
challenges shots and only gets hit once.
You see just how careful he is, looking to take shots at players as they rotate, covering his head as well. But once again, you see exactly what these guys want to do. It's Vino, Queasy looking up for height. They want to take it off iDrop, and they might just do it. Not much connecting them. iDrop and Mappy need to start thinking about connecting and making sure they pressure Queasy and Vino as much as possible.
Not an inexperienced duo at all, so we'll see the back and forth happen on high ground. Meanwhile, Lucian and Center are trying to move through low, interrupted on the dash as a big shot from a pump stops Lucian in his tracks. Vino and Queasy up towards their second part, and looking at height again. They're moving too fast. They're used to seeing both of them. So Vino says, forget the chop. I'm gonna take it myself. Almost landing and getting a perfect shot off the timing. Crazy from Vino. He once again unites to Queasy. A mistake makes it just look like a beautiful rotation instead. And they keep
There's
moving
still a
on.
lot
This
of
might be
teams
the
too.
first endgame in so long where we have
Final
to see them
circle.
play a different way. They might not be able to go up without the mats they have left. They're gonna have to start going down. And all these
can't
teams
keep
here
up
down
what's
below
going on.
are so
Yeah, man.
powerful. Cammy, even as a solo, is making himself look strong. Still alive in this one.
They drop themselves down in the top 10's world, and that's where Tayson and Mustache are hiding. That's where Cammy's looking to survive, and he gets right towards the front side of zone. Elects to actually stay elevated. This is not a position we're usually watching him in when he's alive with his duo, so as a solo will go for it somehow, though. No one can stop Vino and Queasy.
Good shot.
They say never mind and stay on height. Cammy goes down. What a way to
Someone's
survive
gotta
all the
try
way
to go
to
for
the
height.
11th zone, the top 17. Now everyone, including the
Somebody go for
has
height.
to bow down to the king.
Mustache and Tayson, though, they won't bow to anyone. They'll keep fighting in this mid-ground. They'll keep clearing players out. It's Gripey who they're cutting through. They want to take them out. Who else is there? Will Flixie fall? He's trying to stay alive. He's trying to move backwards. If he takes the fight, it might just cost him. Tayson and Mustache don't force down.
Tayson on the sliver, and he will go down. So up to Mustache, but he makes every single shot count. While on the backside, he's got no mats. A little bit of a split from Tayson. Even when he's not, he's doing stuff for his teammates. Slip pop, and now Mustache can actually have some play time inside the storm. Mythic Pistol active, and that's who's gonna look to the beam. Queasy up top, and Vino drops again. Another chance for them to get wins, and wins. This is just crazy on you.
Oh, he's slowing down. He needs to be careful. Mustache, he's coming up. This might be one of the first times we've seen him have to be challenged like this, but quickly dealing with the danger. Queasy says, Vino, hold up. I got you. Slow way down beneath. He has 6 already this game, and he's looking for more. No materials left at this point. Just crawling in the back of the zone. There's opportunities there, but he gets taken out from someone even behind him.
Not right now, right?
Picks up Drayson. Oh my goodness, how many times, even when it doesn't seem possible, even when it shouldn't be probable, they still take height. They still look to win games. iDrop, who was initially on it, is still alive in this game, and he has a tough
back,
in his
look
hand.
up.
Mythic items all the way down below. iDrop looking for one of the shots, but Vino all the way just falls down. Now 1v1 for Vino.
Nice.
It's easy. It's easy. It's just too good for this team.
5 wins in a row. I will never see something like this. Do we ever see anything like this?
5 victory royales in a row.
Is this real? How do they do it?
I don't know, and that game should have just not been possible because we saw pulse rifles on height. But Queasy and Vino, again, split-second decisions,
Look at that.
big shots. When Vino's in trouble, he calls it an airstrike in the sense of Queasy, and he does damage, and then he's up close again and makes it just look like practice.
No matter what you throw in their way, whether they're contested, whether there's people stealing their loot, whether they're taking fights mid-game, whether there's someone contesting for height, it doesn't matter what you throw. Whether they don't get the zone, that was the first game they've had to travel across the map, and they still make it happen. These guys are unreal.
Hardest possible game, worst circumstances, they still win. Adam, analyst, it's enough. I don't know.
I don't know what to say anymore. I don't know what to say. It's just absolutely, it's marvelous to watch. But it's also like, it's a surprise to see them continuously break records, blow us away here. I mean, Mini, what more can we say about Queasy and Vino? They've done it again.
They're not just trying to go for the win today. They've already got that in their back pocket. They're trying to go for world records. This is now tied for the most number of victory royales in a grand final ever. Wow.
It's just absurd to think about. Like, it almost leaves you just in awe, speechless, watching every single maneuver that Veno makes. From the moment he drops down, you can tell he is thinking about his exact next step. Even against the challenge with Mustache there at the very end, for a moment it looked as though Mustache, he's got him on the ropes, and then suddenly it's Veno just closing out. And again, they basically solidified, especially with the game before having the Victory Royale. I'm just dumbfounded right now. It is a fever dream.
Yeah, it's almost like Queasy. You can always see him up top just going, Veno, go have some fun. Just go have some fun, do your thing, and I'll just make sure everything's cool from up here.
Oh boy, and fun he had, because he is just a menace when he gets down on this low to mid-ground layers. I've seen this all season. We've seen people dropping down to try and frag out down below. We've seen it across all different regions, but these guys have mastered it right now because they're understanding there's not going to be heal-offs anymore. We're not going to go that full length of the game.
Maybe a coffee
can actually drop down a lot earlier on and take out the rest of the lobby, whereas previously he would have had to hold on to those heals, hold on to that position, and actually drop down a lot later. Just shows how adaptable they are, and rightfully so on the top spot.
I don't know, man. I mean, Vino's still feasting. It just happens to be on everybody else in the lobby. And think about this as well. 33 eliminations as an individual. He set the record for himself on EU.
It's just unreal. I mean, I keep looking over my shoulder, seeing the number 6 victory royales, thinking, is this happening? Is this actually a thing? And it's definitely,
No, it is.
most definitely a thing. You can see the standings as well right now on your screens, and you can see they've 636 points right now, sitting so pretty. But we can also see the rest of the leaderboard as well, really starting to change a little bit here and there. And I drop a map kind of getting into the top 5 right now. But good to see the likes of Tayson and Mustache. I mean, it's great all round, despite you can celebrate them till the cows come home.
Yeah, of course.
I mean,
it's about global championships as well, of course. You know, we're trying to get into those positions. Top 5 is the threshold that these teams need to get into. Of course, if there is an already qualified team, then it drops down to top 6 or top 7. So, of course, we're looking at teams like Cammy and Seti. Cammy, solo clutching, doing such a great job there as well. Vaniac, another team who had such a great endgame during that. We've often talked about Vaniac as being such a great solo player, but yet again, it seems to be one of those situations where they've developed into such a great dynamic.
And we saw it yesterday as well from Vaniac and Carmi. They were originally contested for those first couple of matches, but they quite literally forced Mikkel and Monet away from their drop spot south of Frenzy Fields. And they've been making some nice adaptive changes as well, because we have seen them take instances where they try to use some of the map's natural elevation, trying to take more focus towards establishing those surge tag damage on congested sides of zones by playing off of the edge. And I like the flexibility that this duo is kind of showcasing, and I think that they're definitely a team that can squeeze into that top 5 consideration.
It definitely feels like the teams that separate themselves from the rest of the pack do have that flexibility, as you mentioned here. There's always, whatever is thrown at them, whatever given situation, there's this way of maneuverability around it and kind of working around it. A bit like rotates, really. You go through the storm, up top, whatever you need to do. The best teams find a way to make it happen.
Yeah, they do. And another top team, Steno Lushi, sat in that 6th place spot right now. That currently is enough to guarantee themselves into that global championships later on this year. A duo that not many people would have heard about, not many people would have talked about. We even didn't mention them at the beginning because we didn't expect them to pop off like they have. But what a performance from them so far.
Especially when you consider that this was a duo. They qualified off of Surge Week, and it wasn't even from a victory around Surge Week. Although game number 5, they did play second. It's more so the fact that they came in off of consistency in Surge Week, and they're bringing the consistency still to this grand final set lobby, which indicates that this is a team that can definitely still hold on.
I think that just gave them confidence as well. During the Surge Week, going through on consistency, they had as much reps, as much practice as they could. Of course, going through on a first game victory is always good, but keeping that consistency, and as you said, they're carrying it into this grand finals. And for a team that haven't necessarily been in this position too much before, they're really handling the pressure so well.
Interesting. Okay, we've actually got something real fun to look at as well here. Total damage done across all different, I believe, regions here for you guys to look at this. I see it's a team, sorry, to look exactly and see where they've done the damage, how much they've done as well. And you can see the stats on the screen. It is mighty impressive. It's not just Queasy and Vino dominating right now. So many other teams getting a lot of damage dealt as well.
Yeah, we can see it, of course. Juriki and Fredoxy up there on the damage stats. Of course, 3rd place right now. They're, of course, landing at Mega City, getting those mythic pump shotguns almost every single game. So I'm definitely sure that'll have a part to play in that.
But I'm also particularly impressed by Seti and Cammy actually being in that top 5 discussion for damage dealt, because you have to remember at Frenzy Fields, they're uncontested, which showcases the fact that they've got a really solid Surge game plan, because we're seeing them, even though we were forced to watch through a solo clutch instance there at the end for this past game, it's just the fact that they're still able to maintain a nice mindset in terms of knowing the area around them so well that they can still find that consistent surge tag damage when they need it most.
Yeah, managing to accumulate that surge, those tags really, where manage to get past Storm Surge. It's such a pivotal part of this competition as well, because as long as you can get to the end game, give yourself an opportunity there, Mini.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Cammy and Seti have been landing at Frenzy Fields for 2 seasons now, since the beginning of Chapter 4, so they know this area so well. And I think that almost buffs them in their surge strategies. They're doing the exact same thing as we saw them do last season, obviously different teams surrounding them, so it's slightly different, but they're building up nice big bases on top of those barns inside of the Frenzy Fields area. And of course, just sneaking around, trying to get a few tags here and there. They're doing so well so far. Let's see if they can continue doing it.
Yeah, you know that I'm a big fan of speculating, right? Who might go all the way to Global Championships? One of my favorite things to do is just think, who might get all the way? Who might actually make it through? And things to, topsy-turvy change all the time in this competition. But asking you guys right now, the way the land lies, obviously Queasy and Vino are in such a dominant position right now. But the rest of the leaderboard, considering damage dealt thus far, who are you kind of thinking might go all the way here, even now after Game 8?
I'd like to see Cammy and Seti do it. I think they are very adaptable. Doesn't matter about the zone. It doesn't matter about where they're positioned, who goes on around, or what goes on around them, because they have all the answers to those questions. They're not a one-dimensional team. They can adapt on any situation. So realistically, they should go through, and I really want to see them there.
See, I'm pulling more so for Vadil and Mr. Savage to kind of slide their way in there. I think they've got what it takes.
Okay, we'll see exactly what happens here as we get ready, because it's imminent. We're diving back into this competition here. From Breakwater Bay all the way to Naughty Nets and everything in between. Our players are ready. It's time to jump into game number 9.
What we are witnessing is one of the most dominant performances, if not the most dominant performance in Fortnite history. But beyond that, we are witnessing all of the best teams in EU right now hustling and fighting for a chance to play in the Global Championships as well.
Absolutely, one of the closest 10-horse races we've seen so far in any region when it comes to who can actually make it here in Copenhagen in the fall. That's going to be nuts. An extra major after this one too, but for today, for this day 2 in EU, absolutely electric is the air with shots, beams, and kings on all sides. It's insane, the storylines in this lobby.
One more win. One more win. One more win. They're going to keep them coming. I'm sure they will. But beyond that, we obviously see so many fights happening off spawn that have such big impacts in how these games go and how these games feel. You can see here a change in tempo. Snazy and Podesite, they've landed at the Citadel and they're expecting to see Swizzy and Shamoki here as well. But these guys have decided to swerve. They don't want to take the 50-50 fight off spawn. They want to get a chance to play out the game.
Top and I drop up against Q-Roll, make fast work to kind of push them back in Anvil Square. And today has been so different off drop, right? We see Thomas HG and Malabuka in every game. We see Tusi Puchik also being able to play. We see so many teams just kind of spacing apart and trying their best at just trying to get towards that top 5. And right now it's kind of the same teams almost who are holding at least the top 3.
Yeah, but how impressive is it from iDrop and Mackie, right? In terms of, we don't expect teams who are contested to do well most of the time, right? When you're making your predictions, you always have the teams that are contested somewhere low down in the standings just because it's so difficult. These guys are pushing. They're in the top 5 right now. Contested at Anvil Square, that's so impressive.
It's huge and really making good waves off the game where they got those pulse rifles.
And they came through Surgery Week.
They did come from
They came through Surgery Week and they're doing this.
It's too much. They have to hold on now. That's the tough part. Getting there is one thing. Trying to be at that level 24/7, sometimes you might not get that Rift Island. Starts off spawn though, and we see some issues for Cheatin and Glepshi as well. I don't know how Cheatin survives seeing 2 people, facing both of them at the mouth of 2 different barrels and living. Still holding onto his shield. I say that and now it finally gets rocked off. It's Kaizen who comes in, another team, and makes quick work.
Bro and Artist have not been able to settle and find a home, and they're trying to make Brutal Bastion theirs, but it is so hard against these teams in box. You can't miss shots. Vox and Kaizen, they want to claim Brutal Bastion. They don't want anybody stealing what's theirs. But you can see another contender, Drayson and Darky, run right on in, and they're going to look to clean up right there.
Kind of just a survival game forever's here at Brutal Bastion, and it never goes this fast. This is wild. Another wave. This one is Drayson's experience at playing the game. Doesn't even need Darky. 2 big shots.
We in game 9 already?
Nice
Let's go.
They finish it up. They get the reward.
Oh, that's game 9.
How, like all the teams and players right now who like would be potential Kenjutsu crossing landers have just all decided, nah, we're good. Brutal Bastion will do. Right, we obviously saw Fiber and Artist landing there earlier this season. Obviously, Drayson and Darky literally were landing there yesterday at times. But both of them going,
one of my favorite drops, yeah.
You guys got it. We'll go Brutal.
Yeah, they want that smoke, but they don't want that type of smoke.
Not that type of smoke.
Yeah.
Understandably.
Comeback season now for Janice and Reason. Overall, I feel like they just dropped a few spots on the board. 15th in total now, but they're right beside so many teams. We're basically tied with them in points. Seno might fall to a trap play here from Ferdoxy, who's just waiting patiently for him to overpeak in just the wrong way. One big thing to note, we talked a little bit about iDrop and Mappy. Gripey and Flixie have kind of defied all odds on day 2 as well. They just came in top 10 now, 4th place in every end game. In a box or beside a box where Tayson and Mustache are doing their thing and they're surviving, they're dealing damage. It's huge.
Yeah, truly been an impressive team, but look here. Ferdoxy heard Seno getting cracked, he heard the shields being depleted, And so now he wants to strike, not waiting for Senna to overpeak, just wanting to get in his box, get in his face. We know these guys are high up in those damage leaderboards. They've done the third most damage of any team today, and they're looking to deal some more, trying to get in. And they will pick up Steno, Jerky coming through and dealing that final blow.
The dog and the shepherd. I like the way that Production just keeps that chase on the Steno all the way to Jerky. That was a nice one to pinch overall. Meanwhile, across the pond, if it's not going to be Shimoki, I saw Flipmonk's name off drop. Ponusai needs someone to target off spawn. He's the closest one he's got.
Yeah, now he's going to have to get a revive as well. I think it's clear that these guys are very aggressive, very direct in their approach, especially in the earlier stages of the game. They need to start making things click throughout the mid-game and end games as well. Zangi going for his own sneaky play onto Andalex. I don't think Andalex is a clue he's here. And so lining up the shots perfectly. Oh, not connected with Andalex! No! Oh dear, you hate to see it. He left clicked on his kinetic blade, and instead of flying away, he just stood still for Zangi to take shots at him.
But because of this, Zangi's gonna summon Deox now.
Yeah.
So now it's 2v1 and the splashes are here. Zangi in trouble as a third party starting to connect a few shots.
Guys, definitely gonna drop some lights,
I think
man.
landing all those might have been worst case scenario, even though it's what he wanted to do.
Yeah, he's taking shots from behind now, didn't block his back. And he does have that shield keg there popped, but he's burning through a lot. That was almost so bad. If Andalex had gone down there, he would have been fuming. I'm sure he's fuming anyway. But it would not have been a happy time for him. Fortunately, Diox was close by
Zangi,
just to help out.
That is a cool name. Zangi.
Slash Tayson, Slappy Shorts. Basically, not like completely uncontested, but unhithered. They're not in trouble at all off spawn. Looking good as to where they get damage. It's at the top 5 there, second overall, and already qualified for the global, so they're just trying to push other people away who might want to have a chance at their spot. A pixel for Mustache to see it, he lands a shot.
So, Slash and Tayson. Think they could get first place?
You know, there's a world where mid-tournament, you have the ability to just give people points that you have, and Queasy give a few away, and then Mustache and
I've only
Tayson.
seen best hits.
Yeah, no, there's no way. I don't think so. But they can hold on to their first place, which is second.
Well, the thing about them that's obviously interesting, right, is that they are well entrenched in second right now. Like, they're sitting comfortably there, somewhat at least, depending on how City and Kami go. But what a lot of people might forget is that obviously these guys are the reigning champions. They already have a spot in the global championship. If they finish in the top 5,
It becomes the top 6 that are going to be the ones that move all the way on.
Right.
And not them. So there's some people praying for them to stay inside that top 5 spot. Give them a chance.
Yeah, no, everybody is praying for them to stay in the top 5 so that it just drops down a bit, right?
The other team, of course, is in 9th place. Malibuka and Thomas HD. They're moving up the ranks. If they get towards top 5, top 6, and the top 7 move on to global. So very cool tidbit and very cool fact that, you know, some of these teams who won first, second place overall last season are doing this well again.
Yeah. It just makes it interesting. Of course, we've been hyping up the fact that, yes, there's top 5 go to globals, but right now, one of the top 5's already got a spot for globals, so it would mean an extra spot is available. Seti and Kami might just run into Twy and Jalen if they're not careful. You can see those guys to the right. Jalen looking incredibly low, though. It's not even at the hands of Seti and Kami, so they're running into their own problems. But you see here, Seti and Kami prioritizing positioning right now, just looking to get ahead, not worried about the teams around them. They just want to pick their spot and get to it.
This zone looking like it's centering over at Kenjutsu Crossing, so Seti Kami will have a lot of room to work with. Kenjutsu also being a hot drop right now, lots more medium ammo available, lots of high rarity weapons. Going to be possible for Queasy and Vino to have. Seti Kami and any other team that lands towards the south side can always rotate in late, shoot down a bunch of those drones, get some of that loot as well if they are not looking too good off spawn. Thomas HD Malibuka, this is crunch time for this team. Now, getting to play all 6 games is something I don't think that this team expected coming into day number 2. They're looking good so far. 64 total points on the day, it looks like. They want to elevate that as much as possible.
Yeah, and of course, in some of the previous games today, the Rift Island hasn't necessarily spawned in their favor, so they haven't been able to claim it the way they would want to. So they'll be hoping for some more fortunate spawns in that regard.
One thing I've noticed on day 2 of EU is there are a lot of people who are actually looking back at day 1, seeing the impact of those pulse rifles, and now they're really gunning for those Rift Islands. I feel like Thomas had it for free. Irazumi, who's on screen out of cash, had those Rift Islands for free almost in day 1 over and over again. Now it's the likes of Asa who's there immediately. We have iDrop and Matthew who are prioritizing them as well. There's a big changes we're seeing on day 2.
Wait till they find out high ground's free as well.
For a zone or two.
iDrop and Map, obviously they were playing for high ground last game, and I think way back in the day there was a time when analysts, including myself, would criticize the way iDrop tried to play for high, often trying to take it too early, a bit too cavalier in his approach. And I liked what they tried last game, but Vino and Queasy are just so cerebral in their height chops.
I think we might need a little bit of that old iDrop back, the nonsensical staying on height. Might be the only thing stopping, or the only possible thing that could stop Vino and Queasy. Because right now, as soon as you get rocked twice, you gotta play it safe. You want to see the end of the game, not just height, right?
Yeah, the problem is, it's just you're just gonna get chopped out. If you're playing for height, you are just gonna get chopped out. And so you almost have to hope that the zone doesn't like pull far. If the zone pulls far, or pulls at a weird angle, you are 1,000,000% being chopped by Queasy, which is guaranteed.
Storm fight for the moment. The zone pulling further and further away. There's a timer even for the victor of this fight. I mean, how unfortunate is it to be one of these teams at Brutal Bastion? Either you have a mosh pit if the zone pulls north, and it's team after team after team in waves, or everyone's just so fixated on fighting that no one can really even stay close to Storm, stay in an advantageous position. Nice shot from Asa on the jump up. I'm not sure he's going to be able to claim the elimination. Yeah, he is. There he is. Artor going down. We'll keep it moving for them. 11th place overall. They're close enough to make it into that top 5, but need some phenomenal games back to back to back.
It's interesting here. You can see Thomas and Malabuka found themselves in some trouble here in the mid game. Malabuka's down. It's up to Thomas to try and get the reboot.
Want to have both of them alive, ideally. Definitely a rocket ship duo where once they do take off and one person's up in the solo clutch, they do really well, but yeah, because of this, no team's active. They're not going to be able to have the pulse rifles. I see Queasy Vino maybe going towards that island.
No.
There was a moment.
No, wait,
there was a moment. I saw it in your eyes.
He did, I think. Look.
Got eyes on the
Ooh,
island.
Queasy's down.
I think he went for it. Maybe.
Yeah. No, most definitely. He's knocked up top and people are jumping right for him.
Yeah, Queasy went up for it. They tried to do something different. The spawn was there for them, so they felt they could take it. And to be fair, there were a couple scrim games where I watched where when it did spawn for them, they thought, you know what, let's take it, why not? And clearly now, when they're not sticking to their usual game plan, it's catching them out.
They got 200 points to work with, so, you know?
That's true, that is true.
And the best part about this is, once again, I said it before, Kenjutsu Crossing, home zone for this game, Queasy's card on an island that has a reboot van, right? And Kenjutsu down below, another reboot van. And if they want to, they can go all the way out to Steamy if they want to for the next about minute and a half. There's a reboot there too. Naughty also in the circle. Queasy, I feel like we'll be seeing the end of this game.
And we did see yesterday when they were put in bad situations, still able to make something happen. Jalen and Twy here, they've been in plenty of bad situations, but for a team trying to make something out of their first Grand Finals appearance, this is their chance to make up for it here in day 2. We have to Carter on the sidelines to give us an update on what these guys are doing to bounce back.
Queasy and Vino are not the only duo that likes doing edge map rotates. Here we have Twy and Jalen who are making good use of the kinetic blades to go around the edge of the zone to block as much line of sight as possible from their opponents that are on the mainland. A great way to do a rotate without losing too much shield.
I think one thing that I've found interesting when following a lot of this season is when it came to Jalen and Twy, they actually were benefited a lot in terms of just learning by landing so close to Queasy and Vino, right? Seeing how those guys are rotating around them, obviously they land so close, and almost being able to emulate their rotations. The problem being, in some games, they ended up pulling the same cash, right? And so
you really got the card. Wow, let's go.
In other situations, they get out-timing by Queasy and Vino, and so they're just now stuck behind them as they try to rotate in. But for the most part, like you see there in terms of that kind of rotation, they're able to learn and almost sort of do something that those guys do so well.
This is the one game where those guys also did something different, so I feel like they still be behind Queasy and Vino. This time they'll go for an island, so Jalen and Twy have a little bit of room to play with. Arbuk is back, and there's Vino. On a van as well, I believe, but Vidil and Savage, will they give him this for free?
I think if you're Vidil and Savage, you wait for him to get the reboot.
Why not?
Take Queasy out of the air, and then look to pick both of them up. Look for the 1v2 onto Vino. And look, you see them there, lining it up.
Oh, man.
Queasy doesn't stand a chance. But will Vino 1v2 Mr. Savage and Vidil? This is the question.
Vidil knows exactly what just happened.
Wow.
He knows exactly
I don't think
whose opponent will be. Yeah, there's no chance.
They're not even going to run in and try to fight.
You know, the funny part is he can try again. He can try again twice almost. So the reboot's right there. You got it back. That van will recharge.
Yeah, it's got to wait a bit.
Look,
on this side of the zone, there's not a lot of people here. They're literally the only 2 teams in this vicinity. So even if he does wait, they'll just do it again. Like, they will just take Queasy down again, and there's nothing he can really do to stop it. He can maybe expand his boxes a bit so that Queasy lands in one of their boxes and he can close it up. But then at that point, they will just push, right?
It's very true. Middle's looking to actually get this fight down first. Ooh. I was going to say a few misses from Vidil. He lands 3 big shots to Vino's body as he tries to box up. Vidil's looking to just kind of stay away as I say that. It's just the vantage point of top and switches back over to the pistol. Vino on low HP now. This is an impossible situation.
Yeah, look. I don't think we'll be seeing 6 games in a row. I think that'd probably be a safe prediction at this point. The deal with Mr. Savage so far above on Surge, and you know, this is something I wanted to see from them, right? This is something that I was hoping they'd be able to improve on here in day 2. And right now, they are set up very nicely to make it to endgame with max materials, max Surge.
Going again? He's going for it again?
And they're gonna let him have it. They're moving away. He actually's gonna get him up. Wow.
Here's the big thing, right? They're still kind of near Naughty that has a few drops of those blades. They have to go north. They know on that Rift Island, they have Queasy's old loot, and they have the loot from the flag, and the island itself, a vault possibility as well. There's too many slurps up there for just one team. Queasy can get in here with a lot of mats that are left over up top, and the weapons and the slurps. But Cammy's the one who knocks Queasy again as he spawns in. So lots of eyes over at Naughty and that reboot van. There still is one more on that Rift Island.
Yeah, Cammy did get the knock, but Queasy is back up. Vino was able to get the revive because look, you can see here, Cammy and City aren't actually on Naughty nets. They're just looking from afar. And so you see those arrows in the bottom right, just beneath the Naughty. Those are Queasy and Vino, and Seti and Cammy on the same side of the zone. Going to be able to hold those guys from coming in.
This is a dangerous spot for the rest of the lobby. Seti and Cammy are going to be able to get in like this. Rift below them, but they elect to just completely dodge it and keep moving up that right side. Pit stop for them right now, and Vino's about to run straight into the 2. But this is a different team that he has on his sights. It's Darky up top that he's done a lot of damage to. Straight into a rift, and he starts to fly. Queasy's still alive, and he's lagging a bit behind in the zone. Starting to tick pretty heavily. Vino's got 1 medkit, but he needs to land soon.
Ooh.
Completely gone down.
Not happening. It was a nice streak while it was there. Never again, I don't think, will we see a team win 5 games in a row in EU. That is absolutely ridiculous. You have to just take your hat off, bow down to just the most dominant 5-game streak. Queasy now finally being taken out and confirmed by Darky. Tried to get a bit of revenge, but it isn't going to happen. the first place team are finally down and out of the lobby. And that just leaves everybody else now to try and play the catch-up game.
Chasing and Mustache, the closest ones. It is a little bit of a 200-point difference. Having a very good endgame here. I say a little bit. But having a big endgame here, they could catch up with what, almost 100 points? 70 at least? Like, they have something phenomenal. 15 elims.
It's well within their capabilities,
Exactly.
right? Every single endgame, we see their names involved in the action. This is tough, though, because iDrop is down. And so it's all up to Matt to try and make something happen of this game. Of course, we talked about how this is a team that is trying to hold on. That is their goal today, holding on. So a really difficult game to do so, right? He's having to use a lot of his mats just to stay in safe positions right now in this lobby.
Map is the target for every single person in this lobby right now. He is the embodiment of just top 5. Barely holding on to it, as Levin just said. 61 below, no one wants to give him any damage at all. Diaz and Analytics next to him, you know how hard of a nut they are to crack. There's no way Map's gonna be able to get that one for free. Besides, they just want to up their lead as much as possible. Yes, for them,
Gonna play some ball
maintaining and having a